429 days. It's Aaron's story. Today live on Restoring Hope
Restoring
Live.
hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
It is the 12th day of January in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Recovery Monday within RestoringHopeLive.com, brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC. We get together every week at this time, and we interview, we talk to, we share a story from someone who's dealt with life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups through either alcohol, drug abuse, perhaps emotional or physical abuse, sexual identity, whatever it is that you're suffering from in life with hurts, habits, and hang-ups. This is the program where we share stories to hopefully give you information on how you can deal with yourself or those people in your life that suffer from those same hurts, habits, and hang-ups. You know, so many times addiction is, shh, it's a secret. It's a family secret. We don't talk about Uncle Bob and his drinking. We don't talk about Aunt Joyce and her drug abuse. After all, they're just prescription. You know, doctor said it was okay. Shh, we don't talk about it. And it's our secrets that make us sick. And so what we do on this program is we ask brave souls like Aaron, who today is who is celebrating 429 days sober. That's 14 months. And Dee is here. Dee is a counselor at Powell CDC, along with Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and Ryan producing. We invite folks in to share those stories, because I'm convinced that someplace in the middle of Aaron's story is a nugget of wisdom. N-O-W, now. Right now, he's going to say something, and you're going to go, ding, and it's going to hit a point. It's going to make sense. It's the piece of the puzzle you've been looking for. Perhaps not the last piece, but a piece that allows you to cross that bridge and get closer to the recovery that you want for yourself or perhaps someone in your family. Maybe it's somebody in your Bible study. Maybe it's somebody at church. Maybe it's your pastor, your daughter-in-law, your grandson. Whatever it is, this is a safe place to call in, ask questions. Plus, we're going to introduce you to some good people, like Dee Hammond. You can call her, Dee Hummel. Sorry. You can call Dee anytime, 243-2424. Anytime. And you're going to get to know her here today, 263-2424. You're going to get to know her today like you know Lila and Bob and myself, and you're going to feel a little more comfortable to reach out when you have just had enough. And the holidays a lot of times brings that I've got one nerve left and you're on it family syndrome. After all, family is a petri dish for resentments. Maybe Uncle Bob just did it too hard this last Christmas and you're just done with it. Maybe your son or your daughter came home and you smelled that funny smell. It wasn't tobacco. And they acted weird. And their eyes didn't look right. And their language is a little slurred. But I'm okay. They're not. They're sick. They need help. They have a disease. If you don't like the word disease, I'll debate it with you. I'll buy you a coffee. But let's compromise on how about an allergy? They're allergic to alcohol. They're allergic to marijuana because when they take it in, their body reacts completely different than yours does. Because you're a normie. That's right. You're normal. We are the ones that need help. And it is absolute attraction over promotion. So today, Aaron's going to tell part of his story. Dee's going to chime in, me and Bob too. And hopefully you'll hear something that helps you help that one in your life that you love so much and you just don't know what to do. Write the phone number down, 263-2424. That's Powell. If you want to call into the show, it's 244 0077. Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me today.
You bet. You were here about 9 months ago,
Yeah.
10 months ago, when you were celebrating 90 days. Do you remember that?
I do. I remember it clearly. It's been a 180-degree change from 90 days ago.
Yeah. So talk to me. By the way, hi, Dee. How are you?
Hi. I'm
Okay.
fine.
Make sure you're right on that mic when you talk for me.
Okay.
Let's remember back to that 90 days. What were you like then? Tell me what that red mist, that fog that you were in at 90 days felt like.
Well, it came in multiple forms, right? First form is that, I kind of came out of treatment at PAL after it was my fourth treatment. And, I still had the treatment high, right? So I was still riding high. I had 30, 60 days in there. But, in part of my mind, I thought life would go back to normal immediately. All the pain, all the hurt, everything that I caused. I figured, I've been sober for 90 days. Why doesn't my wife, love me as much as she did? Why am I still getting questioned on where I've been or what I'm doing or where the finances are or anything else? So it was a scary time. In that first 90 days, I was still in the doghouse with my wife. I was still in the doghouse from a work perspective, switching jobs. I was in the doghouse all around. But I thought just because I had been sober 90 days that I deserved some pats on the back. And I'll tell you, the last year has taught me quite a few things.
Now, Dee, that's a common story, isn't it?
It's always common.
We get 60, 90, 120 days, and we think the whole world should be being our cheerleaders.
We spend years with our families in uproar, within this craziness that goes on with the disease, and yet we get about a week under our belt. We think everybody needs to be just thrilled with that,
Yeah.
and love us and make changes and forgive us.
Something that I've discovered in my own life is that it's just been within the last year, and I'll be 5 years in May, 1,709 days. It's just been within this last year that my wife has been comfortable enough to challenge me, knowing that I'm not going to come back like a big fly swatter and stomp her down. And my wife's a strong woman. So for me to do that, the level of arrogance and disobedience and rudeness was off the scale. But somehow she loved me anyway. But it's just been this last year that she's tested it a little bit more, realizing that I don't have that button anymore. At least if I do, nobody's pushing it. I have this joy that just doesn't seem to end, even when something bad's happening to me. That's the level that we want to get to. But now that's at 5 years. 5 years from now, we'll be doing a show, and I'll tell you how it's completely different. So just like you at 90 days compared to 4-something, it just continues to progress, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does. And Mac, you just feel better about yourself. Somebody said to me, "What's different about you?" And I said, "The only thing different is I like myself now."
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Well, it's time you got on the bandwagon." He was nice. But I remember I was just thinking I was the worst person in the world if only people knew who I really was.
Yeah, right.
And back then we didn't know that it was a disease, at all.
So what was it back then?
They didn't know if it was the chicken or the egg.
Okay.
They said, "We don't know for sure, but we know it's not your fault." Well, that told me nothing until 6 years later when I found out about the THIQ in the brain and that it was certainly something I inherited from somebody in my family.
And so when somebody in your care comes to you and says, "Well, my husband doesn't believe it's a disease," or "My mom doesn't believe it," they just think it's my choice and I can stop if I want. They're really projecting their own drinking or using habits, certainly not those of an addict.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I said this before, but my favorite saying is, if people think it's something about willpower, then have them eat a box of X-Lax, come back and talk to you about willpower.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to remember that, Aaron. I'll let you use that in a Saturday morning meeting.
I'm not going to try that, by the way.
I'm sorry.
But that's
I
a good
get it.
point, though. You're right.
because it's powerless.
Yeah. And the one of the sayings I like in this, I like sayings. I gave you one of my business cards. I love sayings. But one of the ones I remember learning that I really thought was powerful is there is so much power in being powerless. Now, did that make sense to you 429 days ago?
No. I thought I knew who I was. I thought I knew everything about myself, and I've come to realize that I don't. You know, I think I'm at 40 years old, and being sober, 14 months, that I'm just starting to realize who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I've had this mask on for so many years.
Tell me about that mask. And I don't need you to get uncomfortable with your vulnerability, but just so we can relate it to what other people are thinking when they're listening to this.
Well, I'll tell you this, right? I'm a sales professional, right? I've been in the sales business and industry for 15 plus years now. And so my job has always been to go out and shake hands and kiss babies, and per se, and be that, be what everyone wants me to be. While inside, I'm dying, right? Inside, I'm insecure. Inside, I'm worried that I'm not adequate enough for my wife, that she's going to find somebody else, that I'm not adequate as a husband or a father or as a son, to my parents. None of that, all of those manifested themselves. And so I hid it by drinking and a little liquid courage and saying, you know what? I'm going to drink until I feel comfortable with myself, and then I'm going to go out and be the life of the party.
Now, did you drink to get drunk, or did you drink for the process?
Well, I drank to get drunk.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't go out just to have one or two.
All right. So when did you discover you then? Now, hold on. Let me back up. While you're drinking, when does the you come out? Is it never? Is it in the middle and then you drink too much and you spoil it with too much alcohol?
I like to say it was when I was by myself, right? When I was not around anybody else and I was sitting in my own little, wall of, I was wallowing in pity by myself, right? I drive a lot, so I'd sit in the car and hear a song and cry to myself, or, just think, what am I doing to myself? But it didn't change anything.
No.
Right? I mean, I would tell myself day in and day out that I needed to do something, but the addiction was stronger than my will.
Yeah, you'd wake up in the morning and say, today's the day.
Yeah.
And by 5 o'clock, today wasn't the day. And that'd be okay because we could do it tomorrow.
Correct. Yeah, I could always. Yeah, I'll finish this last drink tonight, and then tomorrow morning will be day one, and then by 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm at Hy-Vee.
Yeah.
Picking up a bottle.
Now, are you a spiritual person?
I am now.
But you weren't then.
I was not. I'd gone to church. I could probably count on one hand until I met my wife, and then we went to church.
Wow.
But as I've grown through this program and started walking through the steps, I realized that I did not put myself into treatment. Right? It was my will that put me in. My will is what got me to where I was, but it was not my will that somehow put me in the treatment program that I was in at PAL, and then to put me in this seat today. It is not due to Aaron deciding to do that.
And there's a tremendous amount of power in that powerlessness. And if how do I say this? One of the gifts that God has given me is when I listen to you talk, I imagine that I'm a listener. I imagine I'm Jill King at King's Christian Bookstore, or I'm a lady at Perkins washing the dishes, or I'm a grandma sitting at home. And what you just said was incredible, because that is the moment in which we accept a higher power, whatever you want to call him. I call mine Jesus. But whatever you call yours, and that surrender makes it possible to quit. Mm-hmm. But only until you get to that surrender. And it's hard for anybody to understand that.
Yeah. It's, I talk about it with my wife and my family quite a bit. I say, there's some introspection. There's some looking into myself that the normal, what we'll call a normie out there does not get to do because of the program that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It gives me a chance to look at my defaults, how my character is, and every day I get a chance to make changes, but I recognize them now.
Aaron is my guest. He's 429 days sober. Now, if you think that sounds funny, remember, it's one day at a time. Each one of those days is a huge victory. He fell asleep without blacking out, without dropping over, without his wife pouring him into bed 429 times. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Dee is here. Bob's here. Aaron's here. Ryan's here. And I'm Mac, and I'm here. We're coming back on The Truth, 99.3.
A father who who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, welcome back. 12th day of January, Lord's Year 2015. Powell CDC brings you this program every single Monday. It's called Restoring Hope Live, and we discuss life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And we ask people like Aaron to come in and share part of their story, because it is that story. There is a now. A nugget of wisdom. There is a now in every story, and that's the now you need to hear. And the reason it's a now is because when you hear it, you go, now I get it. Now I understand. It's that last piece of the puzzle that you couldn't quite figure out what it is. Or maybe it's the first piece of the puzzle. It helps you bridge. It helps you travel across that ravine that looks so endlessly long and deep. And then Aaron says something, and boom, you're on the other side. That's what we do here, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen. Our phone lines are open, 244-0077. You're welcome to walk in. When the microphones were off, we were talking about something that I want to bring on the air, and that is this. It's a piece that we thought was unattainable before in our lives, isn't it? And quite frankly, it's a piece that most people who have it don't know how incredible it is. It's just their normie or normal life, Dee.
It's happy, joyous, and free. It says in the big book, that's what we'll feel. And I think that it's hard to really describe it, but it's a knowledge that you're not ever alone again, that you've got good support and love, and that you don't ever have to go back to those times again.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
there's a gratitude in that I can't explain.
And yet people do go back to it.
Oh, yeah, they do, for whatever reason. I think in their mind they have not yet said, this is it. I'm not going to do this anymore. Or there's a place in their mind where they honestly believe they can go back and drink it and control it.
But do we, and get a little closer to the mic for me,
I'm
if you
sorry.
would. Is that, okay, I want to ask this question carefully. I would say that Aaron has it. You knew him 429 days ago. I knew him 429 days ago. He has it. But if he should, for some reason, relapse, that doesn't tell me he didn't have it.
Right.
It tells me he lost it.
Right.
It didn't leave him. It didn't escape him. He, just like you drop a set of keys and you don't know where they are, he chose to lose it. Would you agree with that?
I think I do. I think that Dr. David Ohms, who's an expert on this, says that once you know what you've got, it's up to you to take care of it. However, I have been in the past upset when people have relapsed. And yet I finally realized that there are times, many times, when that's something that has to be done for them to come to powerlessness and say, okay, this is it. Finally in their mind to realize that they absolutely, positively cannot do it anymore. And that's a big thing because they're still alive.
Do you think it's the realization, and I'm not arguing with you, but I would tell you that it's the spiritual side that gets them there. Because when I see people who have relapsed and relapsed and relapsed, the thing that, to me, and maybe that's the operative term here, is to me, the thing that seems different is they have gained that relationship with a higher power. They have finally truly surrendered this thing and realized they are powerless.
I think that is their moment of clarity. I think that it came to believe, the step says, came to believe the power greater than ourselves. Yes, indeed. In fact, you can be very religious. I used to teach Sunday school all the time. In fact, I was teaching when I went to treatment, yet I called my husband after a week and said, "You've got to come get me. This is a terrible place. They call me names. You got to come right away." He said, "Keep the faith, baby." I thought I had the wrong phone number. But it was the best thing he ever did for me. He saved my life because that night I got in touch with a higher power. I remember getting on my knees and just flat saying, "I don't know what to do. I'm alcoholic."
Yeah.
And there was a light in the room, and I know that was my time. I think that was a spiritual awakening, and I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, and
everybody's different.
To talk specifically about Christianity for a minute, and you don't have to. There's a reason we don't call it religious, and we call it spirituality. Those are two very different things. You may be an incredibly spiritual person that's truly in tune with your higher power, and you may have no religion in your life at all, none at all. But for me, Christ modeled that surrender when he was on the cross. And the thief said, "Hey, if you're him, if you're it, you're him, you're the guy, you're the dude, you're the big dude, you can crawl right off that cross and just go ahead, show me you can do that." And I think it was at that point Christ knew that he had to be powerless. He had to surrender that power that he thought he could save himself because it was God's will that he wouldn't. Right?
Yes, I totally agree. I think that, but man, the way you put it,
Well,
I
Bob,
just got
would you
chills.
agree?
Chills. Yeah.
I just
Well,
got
yeah,
some
he-
chills.
That was not the plan.
I mean, he could have chosen his will at that very moment and climbed off that cross. He had the power.
He could have called 10,000 angels. You heard that song.
Yeah. But instead, he chose to finally lay it down and say, "Into your hands I am." And that's what we have to do, right? I did that. You
Every
did
day.
that?
Every day we turn it over.
Yeah.
Every day we turn it over. At least I do. And sometimes, but I take it back and then I got to turn it over again.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's amazing how we find out that he can do a better job than we can. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, we like to think we can. I mean, that's what put me in the seat, is that I could do it better than anyone else. And of course, that's why I am celebrating 429 days
Yeah.
and not one day.
I know that.
And how often in those 429 days have you said the Serenity Prayer?
At least 429.
Yeah,
At
right.
least 429.
Yeah. I remember my first, year, whatever, constant.
All the time.
Constant. To the point where I could say it without thinking about it.
My,
So ingrained.
my children say it when we pray at night, right, my daughter, my 8-year-old, knows a serenity prayer and will say it with me before she goes to bed. It's that ingrained now as part of our routine.
Dee, I got a really ignorant question to ask you. Did the serenity prayer come from recovery, or has that been a prayer
No, I think this has been a prayer.
For a long time?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that because, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'll find out and let you know next time I come.
Okay, I'd just be curious.
I don't know.
Because it fits perfect for those people who suffer addictions.
I believe it was back in 1959, 58, 59, that my mother showed that to me in the newspaper. So it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure.
And for those of you that don't know it, it's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. Oh, I skipped something.
And the wisdom to know the difference.
And the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. See, I told you I could. And when you truly apply that, I laid in bed every night, and that and the Lord's Prayer put me to sleep. Mm-hmm. And I woke up every morning somehow in the middle of the Lord's Prayer and the Serenity Prayer. Because I had to give up the stuff that I had no control over. Mm-hmm. Don't normal people have the need for the Serenity Prayer too?
I think they do, but I think normal people are different. Normies are different than we are. They, for example, their alcohol is 156 on their list of priorities. With us, it's absolutely one.
Yeah, right.
So they're different, and I'm not saying that they're different when it comes to those things. I think they use the Serenity Prayer as well as we do. But I don't think that they have a depth to their life as we do. They say Christians go to church so they don't have to go to hell, and alcoholics go to AA so we don't have to go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always, one of my favorite sayings, and I didn't write this, but I'm going to take credit for it because I don't know where it came from before. I used to look for the difference between right and wrong. Dee, let's say you and I were going to have a working relationship, all right? Mm-hmm. And I would figure out what the wrong was for you. And then I'd push you a little farther just to let you know that if I want to, I can take charge of this relationship. And that never worked for me. Because the good people would say, forget it, I'm walking from you. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't have said the good people. Half the people would just say, I'm not going to do this. Mm-hmm. I have figured out my life. I don't need to deal with people like you. The other half would actually try to help me figure out what I was doing, and I destroy it. I destroy the relationship. Now, with Jesus in my life, I say I look for the difference between right and almost right.
I like that. That's non-judgmental.
Yeah. Look for the difference between right and almost right. Because now I want to know what you're almost right. Because I don't even want to come close. There's an old story that the Pharaoh is looking for a new chariot driver. And so he commands his generals to bring him the 3 best chariot drivers they have. So the first chariot driver comes up and Pharaoh says, so how well can you drive my chariot? He says, you see that ravine over there, that cliff that goes down 100 miles? He said, I will have the right side of those tires on that chariot right on the edge, but I'll never put your life in danger. Pharaoh said, thank you. Next guy comes up. Pharaoh says, how will you drive my chariot and keep me safe? He said, Pharaoh, I'll be honest with you. I can put the right wheels over the end of the ravine and balance that chariot so only the left wheels are holding that chariot to the side. That's how well I can drive your chariot and how well I'll take care of you. Pharaoh says, well, that's impressive. Next guy comes up. Pharaoh says, how will you take care of me and drive my chariot? Guy says, you see that ravine over there? I'm not going within 100 miles of it. That's how much I care for you. I'm not even going to put you close to peril. And that's the difference between right and almost right. I'm not even going to go there. And isn't that what we learned?
Yep.
Yes, that's exactly.
I remember learning the phrase, say the next right thing. Well, what did that mean? You're telling me the first thing that I was going to say is always wrong? And my sponsor, Phil, looked at me and said, yep. He said, how many conversations have we had that your mouth got you in trouble? Because you did not say the next right, think about it, and say the next, or do the next right thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and when we follow that, and really what we're doing is we're letting the Holy Spirit creep in there and take position. and whisper in our ear what the right thing to say or what the right thing to do is. But anyway, when we come back, you said something beautiful, and I want to unpack that. You have now, whether your 8-year-old daughter, what's her name? Kylie, whether Kylie knows it or not, you have taught her rules and tools that she can use the rest of her life. Okay? I want to talk about some of those rules and tools that we as alcoholics know the power of them. And how can we help share them with those people who don't want to go anywhere close to the edge of that ravine? I know with my wife, and I love her dearly, she doesn't really want to have much to do with AA or Al-Anon or anything else. That's my program and everything. But the other day, she said to me, I hate that 9th step. You people think you can just go up to Aaron and say, please forgive me for what I did. Let me amend this relationship. If I owe you money, I will pay you. If there's whatever I can do to amend what I've done. And then I am free from that burden anymore. Now, Aaron may not be. And my wife said, I just hate the fact you guys just think you can just lay that stuff out there and then walk away from it. And I thought, oh, what if we could teach everybody that? So let's talk about that. Where else that comes up in our lives, where we have been able to spread the joy of AA and the 12 steps and the tools and rules that we've learned to help other people. We'll talk about that when we come back. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth, 99.3, powered by webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
restoring hope. Open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church and his show called True Blue. Aaron is my guest today, 429 days sober. That's awesome, buddy. 429 times you chose not to drink today.
Yep.
Probably more than that. But we know at least 429 times that you said, nope, not today.
Yeah, and some days it's been more than that.
Yeah. Tough days at all?
Yeah, not only tough days, but a couple examples. I went to the beach with my family. We took a beach trip, and I walked out on the first day and walked down to the patio. There's a full bar, and everyone's sitting around at 11 o'clock in the morning having drinks.
Which you would have bellied up to the bar.
My mouth salivated,
Yeah.
and that's what came into my mind is why can't, nobody's here.
Yeah.
I'm at the beach, right? Nobody's around. Nobody's going to see me, but did not.
Yeah, good for you.
But it happens all the time. I mean, there's still cases on a daily basis where I'll feel that it, it looks good. It looks tempting. And then I realize how I was,
because it
14
isn't one.
months ago.
It's not one.
No.
It's never one. It's
never one.
14.
I'm the same way with pizza. It's not one.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah,
So-
Lay's potato chips started that darn thing. I'll tell you my deal. Just 2 Fridays ago when the Hawkeyes played. So we're at Murphy's, which is a great restaurant. I don't think anybody realizes the quality of food they have at this place, the 100th and Douglas. Or I'm sorry, 100th and Hickman. And so we've eaten lunch, and we're going to watch the Hawkeye game. And the guy sitting on my left decides to order a Maker's Mark, all right, on the rocks. And when the server brought that, she passed that in front of me and over to him, and I got a whiff of that. I got goosebumps. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I left. I thought, I was mad at myself in the car. Here I'm sitting with my buddies. I'm going to watch the Hawkeye game. Come on, Mac, are you serious? Yeah, serious as heart attack. I could have sat there. Would I have drank? Probably not in front of them, but like you, somehow, when nobody else was looking, that might have been the end of my, at that time it was 1,701 days. That might have been it right there. But we learn, and you guys teach us, Dee, when we're going through Powell, you teach us to have an escape plan.
Yes.
You teach us to have an alternative plan so we're not trapped in a corner there. Tell me how you do that.
Well, the thing about it is that I tell my clients that they cannot be around alcohol that first year, because what happens is it sits here subconsciously. When you least expect it, it will crop up and slap you upside the head, and you can't figure out a couple of days later why you have this unbelievable urge to go drink. That's because subconsciously it's there. And I think they think that I'm wrong, but I think I'm absolutely right, and it's happened to me. When I went to Naples with my husband, we flew down, and there was drinking all the way. That my first year, I didn't drink, but we were shopping at Valley West Mall, and all of a sudden, I didn't drink in a bar, and I hated beer. I started to walk into this bar, and my husband grabbed my shoulder and said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to go in that bar and take that beer out of that old man's hand." And it was an insane moment. I was working at Powell as a secretary at the time. Went back and said to my counselor, "What in heaven's name?" And she said, "Dee, I've told you repeatedly, you can't be around drinking because it sits there subconsciously.
Yeah.
When you least expect it, it will crop up. Now, as you get more sobriety, your chances then of relapsing or having that happen aren't nearly as high. But those first few months are imperative that you stay away from it."
Well, I was just real surprised because it would have been, like I said, 1,701 or 1,702 days, so 4.5 years for me.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a feeling like that. You were talking to me earlier about if I could be around liquor. I was about 90 days sober, and I thought I could go back to work at a place that I owned that served liquor. And anybody who's listening to this, you're going to think I'm crazy, and that's okay if you think I'm crazy because I don't need to defend it. But the bartender and I, some girl come up and she wanted a margarita. And I made a margarita differently than my bartender did, so we each made one and we let her taste it. And she liked his better and took his. And so with both of my hands, I took that drink and I put it under the counter by the sinks where you wash. And that drink said to me, well, I can't say what he said, but it was, "Drink me, you blank." And I've told that story before. Now, Dee's shaking her head. Yes, maybe you are too. Bob, who has never had an alcohol problem in the world, probably thinks that's the craziest story in the world. But I'm telling you, till the day I die, I'll swear on a Bible that drink talked to me and challenged me. And it was the accuser who was stepping up and saying, man, it's right in your hand, you fool. Take it. It's only one.
Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know. That's right.
And yet it says one drink away from a drunken disaster in the big book.
Yep.
And because the THIQ in the brain fires up and we're off and running.
Baffling, cunning, powerful. So how have you in your life, beyond Kylie, right, your 8-year-old daughter, how have you applied the rules and tools of the 12-step program?
Well, I mean, I pray, right? I don't get on my knees and pray every morning, right? But I have my own process, right? It's very, very private for me. But, I spend a lot of time turning things over, right? I'm still, I won't tell you at 429 days I got anything figured out. But I have tools that are available to say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about certain things, right? I'm not going to worry about if my wife's going to leave me. And if she's listening, right, don't take that to heart. I'm not worried about if I'm going to lose my job.
But by the way, I understand that.
Yeah.
That, what does it say in the promises? The fear?
Fear of economic insecurity will leave us.
Fear of people and...
People, people, what is it? The fear of people?
And economic...
Yeah.
Right. We should probably
well, whatever. But anyway.
Oh, I hear him every night.
Yeah, but it's very simply that there are less worries in my life today because I know that I can't handle them myself.
Right.
There are things that I learned in PAL that talk about things like unmanageables, right? That I now say that to colleagues and friends and I'll be sitting around with my wife Shelly and having a conversation and we'll talk about something. I'll say it's just an unmanageable, right? We can't.
Yeah.
We can sit here and worry till the cows come home, but there's nothing we can do about it. So let's just let it go.
Yeah. I remember when I learned that worrying, quote unquote, is a sin. I thought, what? Come on, I'm not adulterizing or murdering or lying or whatever. Well, by worrying, it's as simple as sin of all, because I'm telling God, God, I don't think you can handle this. I mean, I know it's in your hands, but I'm gonna take just this little thing back.
Right.
And I'm just gonna hold on to this because I think you're gonna need my help, God, when we get to this point. And so I'm just gonna hang on to this because this will be my part. Right. I'm the little guy with the triangle in the back of the band and I get one note during the whole thing. Ding. But when we worry, we're telling God we're not surrendering 99% of it and holding on to one. We're taking it all back. Mm-hmm. I remember when I learned that, and it was powerful because that was very humbling to think, what am I doing? What am I worried about?
Yeah.
It's an unmanageable.
Can't do anything about it, and there's no, and all it does is add more stress to your life that I don't need.
Yeah.
That none of us need. But another big thing for me is that I always felt like I didn't have a lot of friends, right? And no one cares about me, right? And now because of this program and because of what I have people that truly heartfelt care about how Aaron is doing.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Did Aaron have a good day? Did Aaron have a bad day? And people tell me, don't just come in and say, hey, I'm doing great, right? These people want to hear, you know what, I'm struggling. I'm having a bad day, right? I could use somebody to talk to for 15 minutes or somebody to call or whatever the case is, but I'm not lonely anymore.
Yeah.
I have people to turn to. I have people that I'll run into that are in the program that we might not have said 2 words to each other, but we'll pass each other in the mall and look at each other and nod and just we have. I'm not alone.
Yep.
I'm not alone.
Yeah, and there's a movie or 2 or 3 or 400 out there that have scenes like this. But you're exactly right. We'll see somebody. For me, it's Hy-Vee. I go to Hy-Vee a lot, and I'll just see somebody, and they'll say, "Hey, Mac, how you doing? Good. How are you? Yeah, I enjoy seeing you at the meeting." And then I know. That's how I know them, because we see hundreds of people during the week. Des Moines has more meetings per capita than any other city in the nation. Now, that either says we breed a lot of drunks or we breed a lot of sobriety, one or the other. I'm not sure. All right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, more places that we apply the rules and tools of the 12-step program here on Restoring Hope Live on The Truth.
mother who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, 10 minutes for the top of the hour, 12th day of January in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Let's do some housekeeping. First of all, we wanted to know the origin of the Serenity Prayer, and our scientific mind, the cat in the hat, Bob Montserrat, found it.
Okay, yes, and I just went on the web. The Serenity Prayer is a common name for a prayer authored by American theologian Reinhold Niebuhr, 1892 to 1971, and it has been adopted by Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs. And then you already said the prayer. And he came up with it probably in the 30s, and it was published in a book in the 40s. And then, as far as Alcoholics Anonymous, prayer became more widely known after being brought to the attention of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1941 by an early member, the co-founder, William Griffith Wilson, and the staff liked the prayer and had it printed out in modified form and handed around. It's been a part of Alcoholics Anonymous ever since.
Okay. And the part of the promises we were trying to remember when we recognized that some things are unmanageable, you remembered that.
We intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. And then you said,
We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves.
Yeah, and those are unmanageables.
Correct.
And I don't know about you, but when I hear that, I just relax, because I know, because when I hear that, I think of things, good, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Mm-hmm. I think the promises in the Big Book are the most important thing we read. I remember when I discovered that, and then we added it to the end of the Saturday morning meeting. We never had that in the Saturday morning meeting. And then we got it added. And I think it's very important for newcomers to hear that, because for those of us who have seen some of the promises come true, I hope there's more, but some of them come true, it's very affirming that we have seen and touched and tasted and smelled the results of our hard labor.
Well, and the one thing I'll say to it is that I guess maybe I'm new and some you guys have a little more sobriety than me, but it doesn't happen overnight, right? It does happen over time, but they do come true.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I still take my will back, and I still want to do things my way. But then I suddenly realized that, God's doing for me what I cannot do for myself.
The spirituality part of a 12-step program, I wish that was a 10th grade course in every high school. You know, you don't have to talk about a religion. If we could teach 15-year-olds that tool, think of how much less problems they'd have from 15 to 25. You know, if we realized what we did with resentments rather than get angry and hold them against our parents. If we realized how to say we're sorry and make an amend for something we had done wrong. When we realized how we could gather a spirituality and say just what you just said in the promises. God's going to handle that. My greater power is going to handle that. Somebody else but me is going to handle that because I can't. It's not as if I eat enough spinach and Popeye pops out and I can do it. It's never going to be there. Right. It's not in my wheelhouse. And as alcoholics, we don't realize that. We think we can do everything.
We're untouchable.
That's right.
It's the symptom of the disease, is that we honestly believe that we know better.
Yeah.
And we believe we can control it. That's why we get so sick, is because we will not give up, you know.
I remember, this is weird you should say that, just today in the noon meeting, I had that old thought, and Aaron, I don't know if you ever had it, I know I did, that thought in the first beginning of, I don't belong to these people.
Yeah.
These people are nuts. Honey, listen to that lady talk about her life. That's craziness. And then the longer you get in it, you realize, oh, that's my life. It's not the differences that we look at, it's the similarities and how much we're the same. How has the program changed over how long? 37?
39.
39.
I've been sober 39 years. But when I came in, it was very tough. They kept that you didn't have a choice for outpatient. They didn't have it. They just put you in for 30 solid days. And they yelled at you and called you names, but they believed in tearing you down and building you up again.
Okay.
And it worked really well. I know that sounds really crazy, but it works well. Because you really go out of there feeling strong and ready to stay sober. In fact, there are a lot of people who still have a lot of sobriety as a result of that.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Carl, who's been sober a long, long time, always says, and you said this a little earlier, that you have the self-confidence of a pea, but the ego of the size of Manhattan. We think we can do everything and do anything, and we're in control, and we can do it better. And the fact of the matter is, we don't have the confidence that we can do squat. But if we could just convince ourselves, then I can convince you. And if I could convince you, I may not have to prove it, because you'll just trust me. Yeah. Boy, isn't that the most overused term in the world?
I promise I'll stop drinking tomorrow. Trust me.
Yeah, I promise. Just one more day.
Right.
Yeah. Or as my friend Ronald Reagan would say, trust but verify. I'll have a blood test for you in the morning. All right, let's talk about Powell. 263-2424. That's the number. There are not men in little white coats that are going to trace your number and come run you down.
No, they're very kind.
Yeah.
They're kind.
These people are trained to understand where you're at. You're at the end. Whether you're the patient or you're the, I hate to say this, but maybe you're the enabler. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You're at the end of your rope. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so you call Powell at 263-2424, and that's where the help begins. Professional people like Dee, like Lila, like so many other people you've met on here, to begin to solve this lifelong problem. And it doesn't take, like you said, a week or a month. It's a lifelong program. It's attraction, not promotion. It is the thing I always love to remind myself. It is not perfection. It's just progress. Progress, not perfection. Well, Aaron, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I'll look forward to coming again.
Yeah, I want to have you in I want to have you at 730 days.
Done.
Because that should be 365, 700.
Right around 2 years.
Yeah, right around 2 years. Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll convince my wife to come in and we can have
That'd be great.
If she's listening, then we'll make sure that we'll drag her in here with me.
That'd be wonderful.
I think it'd be fun.
I would be very kind, and courteous to her. I just would love to hear the perception from a spouse. We've been lucky. We've had many family members come in on this show, and the best parts Or when the 16-year-old daughter said, I'd given up on my mom. You know, I just was tired of it. I was too young to understand she could get help, but I was old enough to know that I didn't want this anymore. And now to see my mom sober, and mom's just bawling, because now to see my mom sober, it's a miracle. You know, so yeah, that'd be nice to have your wife, your better half. You married up, right?
Yeah, make no mistake.
Okay.
Yes.
I won't. All right. See you tomorrow. Special show tomorrow. Bradshaw will be on with me. And we're going to talk about Obama and not going to France and just what is this lame quack going to do for the next 2 years. Until then, pick somebody that you can't forgive, that you have a resentment towards. And tonight, drop to your knees and ask for forgiveness. Life will change. God is good. See you tomorrow.